Why do you keep hiring people that you believe are wackos and liars?
Patsy, let's go, please.
No worries.
That was President Donald Trump being asked why the people he hires always turn out to be crazy. Crazy liars with, that are just, they're just terrible. And of course, he's unable to answer. At least before cutting the camera, right? Notice that. Cut the camera. Stop. Cut it. Now, that was in response to Donald Trump's recent rage tweets about his former national security advisor, John Bolton, who was making a lot of waves because he released a book. So now, John Bolton is garbage. He's trash. He should have definitely testified against Donald Trump and not just held on to the information that he had because he wanted to make a buck. Nonetheless, this is what's going on. He released a book. He's releasing a book. And I would urge everyone not to buy it, but to pirate it. Yo ho ho. Avast ye mateys and lift the anchors. Let's go pirate this MFer. All right, anyway. Nonetheless, Donald Trump, very, very big mad, right? Here's what he said. Wacko John Bolton's exceedingly tedious New York Times book is made up of lies and fake stories, said all good about me in print until the day I fired him. A disgruntled, boring fool who only wanted to go to war, never had a clue, was ostracized, and happily dumped. What a dope. What a dope. Let me just say, I love it when terrible people attack other terrible people. I love it. It's tear each other apart. There's nothing like a Republican and Republican crime. Gotta love it. No good people in this story, so I'm happy when they tear each other apart. Now, you know what? There is one good person in this story, I guess. Paula Reed. Paula Reed is a reporter who shouted that question and made the president very uncomfortable, so much so that he had no answer. Because there is no answer, right? So if they're such liars and dopes, why would Donald Trump hire them? I mean, again, it's not just John Bolton. John Bolton's a despicable person. Yes, he's a war hawk. Yes, Donald Trump's absolutely right about that. But you also have former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, also not a good person. Ex-Secretary, Defense Secretary James Mattis, terrible person. Former Chief of Staff John Kelly, also terrible. And of course, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, terrible. And other people. They're all pretty much terrible, which is why Donald Trump hired them in the first place. But apparently, they were not loyal, right? And that is the issue. And so, look, everyone either, who works for him either gets fired or resigns in disgust. And not very many of them have anything nice to say about Trump either, except for Jeff Sessions, who is still like, please, Daddy, take me back. I have an election to win. Please don't support my opponent, Tommy Tuberville. Pathetic. Jeff Sessions is pathetic. Spineless bitch. All right. So what's funny is, I remember Donald Trump talking about how he hires the best people, right? He hired the best people, the smartest people, the greatest people. And that's the reason that Donald Trump doesn't have to know anything, right? Didn't have to know anything, didn't have to be, have a background in politics or anything like that, or have any sort of knowledge about how the process works. Well, don't worry. I'm going to hire these great people, these very smart people, and I'm going to surround myself with those people. And then when I have an issue, when I need to know something, I can just go ask them, right? I can ask my advisors and the great people around me, and they'll tell me everything I need to know. Except that's not what happened. He doesn't even read briefings. He gets super, super bored. He zones out. He's easily distracted. He's got the attention span of a 3-year-old. They have to shorten his briefings to tweet-length segments with his name put throughout them so that he'll pay attention. And yet, he still doesn't pay attention. He still doesn't know anything because he doesn't care. The latest example, again from Bolton's book, he thought Finland was a part of Russia. Not only that, but he also thought that the Finns raked their forests to prevent forest fires. Got to get out those rakes. He's a deeply unintelligent person, but you know this, right? And the thing is, I mentioned loyalty before. That's why he hires people. I mean, he doesn't hire people because they're smart or competent. No, he thinks, I hired you, so you must be loyal to me. And when they decide that they're not loyal to him, they're supposed to be loyal to, the party or what they consider to be the United States. Even if I think that the policies that they use or that they try to prescribe, like endless war, for example, Joe Biden, sorry, yes, Joe Biden, but also likes war, the Iraq War. But John Bolton, right? John Bolton's a war hawk. But maybe he legitimately thinks, oh, no, I'm doing this for America. Maybe. At least some of the people that work for him were like, no, I actually do want to serve the country. And now, then again, if John Bolton is a bad example, because if he really wanted to serve the country, he would have testified against Donald Trump. So I'm just saying. Nonetheless, if you turn against Donald Trump, you're now lazy, boring, a coffee boy. What a dope. I'm so glad I fired them dopes. Why do you keep hiring dopes then? And by the way, in some cases, he doesn't even fire these people, right? They resign in disgust, as I mentioned. And they all have the same story about what a nightmare it is to work for Donald Trump. And so, look, I don't like most of these people, right? And so I understand why you might not want to take them at their word, right? They're all terrible. But at the same time, they're all saying the same thing. They're saying that Donald Trump is deeply unintelligent. He doesn't care about doing the right job. He doesn't care about the country. That his main focus is basically to get reelected. And that's it. And not reelected so that he can do a good job as president, but reelected so that he can keep the power and abuse that power to help himself. This guy is lazy. He doesn't read. He doesn't really actually work at all and is mentally unfit for office. And we have numerous corroborating sources in and out of the White House who are all saying the same thing, that he is deeply, unfit for office and he needs to go. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.